So I was going to talk about Avengers Doomsday and the future of the MCU, but that video can wait till next week because I really need to talk to you guys about this movie. This movie was so good that throughout the entire runtime, I was recreating this picture. I'm going to be talking about The Furious. This is a Hong Kong action movie that released a couple months ago. And it is one of the best action movies I have seen since probably John Wick Chapter 4. Now, I'm a sucker for martial arts movies, and that's because I've grown up on martial arts throughout my entire life. I used to do karate when I was younger, I was a second dan black belt, so it's really been personal to me, any form of martial arts. And I just love martial arts movies in general. When they are done so well, they can be thrilling, tense, and they just make me want to do all kinds of moves in my bedroom. It just gets me going. And The Furious fits into that category perfectly. This is one of the most badass, bloody, beautiful action movies I have seen in some time. And look, the plot of this movie is nothing you haven't seen before. It's a very simple plot of a dad and his child, and his daughter gets taken away by human traffickers, and he has to team up with a detective to try and find her. That's a plot you've heard many times, but that doesn't mean it's a bad plot. As long as you make it engaging in terms of the movie, it can be really, really thrilling. And I do think the movie does a really good job here. The first 15 minutes is the only downtime you're getting throughout this movie, but it sets up this flawed relationship really, really well. You better be prepared for 110 minutes of pure martial arts beauty. I cannot describe some of these moves in this movie. I'm not going to get into too many because I really just want you guys to experience this movie and the fighting for yourself. But there's just one move that I just had to talk about because it was so cool. There's this bit in the final battle. These two people are fighting and there's a knife involved. And one of the characters gets the knife by his feet and does a handstand and stabs the guy in the top of his head. It was so cool. I cannot describe to you how giddy I was and how much I was just doing that, just analysing everything. The way that this film was directed, the camera work, the sound design, the brutalness of some of those punches and connections. There's one moment where some guy gets punched in the face and it's the typical slow-mo. And you could just hear the cracking of the skull and the knuckles going, oh, it's just so cool. This movie knows what you came for. You didn't really come for the most out there amazing story. You just came for some really cool action. And you're going to get that. If you love action movies, you will love this movie. You will not get bored. This movie should get boring after a while. It should. Because, as I said, it is basically just 110 minutes of action. But the reason why it doesn't get boring is because every few minutes, there's new stakes. There's new weapons involved, new choreography. So it just never gets boring. It's always trying to do something new. However, this movie is not perfect. And it is because of a couple of things which you might call a bit nitpicky, but I'm going to complain about them anyway. For one, I'm guessing this movie didn't have the biggest budget because some of the effects here look really, really bad. There's one moment where they're in a freezer, fighting in a freezer, and there's a load of ice blocks. And there's one moment where some guy kicks an ice block and it breaks into a million pieces. And it looked terrible. You could still see the black outlines of where they placed it. And it was a very weird decision with the dubbing. Now, I personally don't like watching films that are dubbed. I understand why people like watching them dubbed, especially if you're blind and you really need to hear what people are saying. But I just stick to subtitles. That's just me anyway. But I had to watch this movie dubbed. And it was a very strange decision to dub over actors who are already speaking English. Maybe they thought they weren't saying the words well. Maybe they thought people wouldn't understand what they were saying, which if that's the case, I'm going to be honest, a little bit offensive in my eyes. But it was just very distracting because there's moments where this movie tries to get very emotional, and they should really work because you really care about these characters. But unfortunately, the acting was so bad from the dubbers that it just washed away any emotional connection. But that's just me. Maybe you won't care about that really, and if so, that's perfectly fine. But as for me, it just really, really affected some of those scenes. But overall, this movie was just so enjoyable. This is my type of movie. Just pure, beautiful martial art, amazing choreography, brilliant direction, amazing set pieces, excellent music, sound design, acting. I just loved this movie so much. If you love martial arts movies, this is a must watch. The Furious is going to receive a 9 out of 10. This year has really been an amazing year for movies, not just because they've been great, but also because people are supporting the original films as well. I know this film didn't do great at the box office, but it's got a lot of attention since its release, and that's really, really nice to hear. So yeah, please go and watch The Furious. It really deserves your time. If you have seen it, do let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you like it? Do you not? Let me know. But I hope you all enjoyed this video, guys. Have a good day, and see you later.